From this morning's ccelerator class, I was encouraged to make a brief video that describes why I chose the name Change by Gumption as opposed to Change with Gumption for a new product or service that I'm actually looking to offer. And I'll say there's two things that I hope to get out of this. Any feedback on the name and if you agree with what I'm doing. And the second thing would be to do a practice run for something that I could make publicly that would describe this process. So don't intend to necessarily throw this out to the public, but we'll be looking to do something like that very soon. The first thing I want to do is describe the service in general. And essentially what I'll be doing is working in the area of change management. My goal would be to partner with a change management consulting firm and offer my services to them that they could then offer to their clients. I would essentially be a change ambassador or a messenger or a change agent. One of my beliefs is that change is difficult, it's scary, and that these big change projects have a lot riding on them. There's a lot of money invested and they need to get it right. And I believe that a lot of these projects fail because they're not communicated properly. It's not so much a matter of the idea isn't a good idea, but rather it's not explained well to people. And my job would be to be involved in the part where I explain to people. So I believe that change could be essentially one of two different things. One could be a change in culture, and the second one would be a change in strategic direction or focus. The first one, the change in culture, that's a big one. That means there's a big mess within the company and that there's a lack of trust and that somehow leadership needs to do something dramatic and make a shift so that they can regain trust. The second one would be where we used to do A and now we're going to do B. A shift in strategic focus, or you're offering product but we're discontinuing this product and we're going to now offer another product, or we're going to be more of a service provider instead of a manufacturer of some type of good or service. Either way, these examples are big giant change within the company, things that like rattle people to the bones and go, oh my gosh, I don't know if I even want to be around here anymore. So that's the kind of thing. So big potato change, not small potato change. We're not talking about asking people to use a different form to fill out their expense report on. Anyway, that's kind of the big picture of it. Let's move on to how I specifically work with a company and group. Change is a process. There's a whole big theory on how change works, and I don't want to be involved in the whole process. I only want to get involved at the point where the plan is essentially developed, and now we're talking about communicating it and rolling it out and making it effective to stick with the majority of the people. Change by Gumption is the service that I'm going to offer, and it's essentially a communication service. The service that I'm going to offer, it's pretty simple. I just explain what the change is in a way that becomes palatable, becomes fun, urgent, necessary, common sense, as opposed to get stuck in all the weeds of the actual what it looks like. So make it a big fun event and say, hey, this is all going to happen, and try to get everybody rallying around this whole idea of change. Mary Poppins used the song and the example of a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Change by Gumption has Gump being the sugar, delivering the medicine and doing it in a fun and endearing way that gets people to buy into the change. I believe that change is going to be met with resistance, and the goal is to have the change be met with small pockets of resistance instead of massive resistance, and then go after those small pockets of resistance right away in an aggressive way to nip it in the bud and get everybody on board as quickly and smoothly as possible. So now back to the Change by Gumption name and how I came up with that name. The title was originally Change Made Easy, and the way Change Made Easy came about was a friend of mine had suggested this a year and a half ago or so when I started talking about change in this way, and but the problem with, and I had that as my original title on the infographic, but the problem is that change, I don't believe change is easy. I believe change is actually difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult, and so Change Made Easy didn't resonate with me because it sounded like a quick fix or an easy fix, and it didn't sound like the truth. And of course, Gumption is my brand, and so I just figured out, well, let's just throw Gumption in there, and it became Change by Gumption. I think momentarily I thought Change with Gumption, and for whatever reason, Change with Gumption didn't feel as strong. It sounded a little bit like, oh, change is easy, change with Gumption. Whereas Change by Gumption had a more definitive and a stronger answer to the challenge of change being hard. I've always equated Gumption with personal responsibility. So change is personal responsibility is a huge part of change, and that is one of the things that I'll be encouraging. Everybody take personal responsibility. The word Gumption means has two basic definitions. One being that it's sound, logical advice or common sense. Change by common sense. I want the change to sound like common sense. Hey, we don't have any choice but to change. It's common sense that we go about and take on this change initiative. The second one definition would be fortitude and determination. And again, I don't want to underplay that change is easy. I don't want to make it sound like it's super hard or impossible, but at the same time, it's going to take determination, fortitude, strength, courage, Gumption. And finally, Gumption is my brand, and it just feels more honest and direct about what it is that I'm going to be offering. So anyway, that's my story on why Change by Gumption. The domain's available. It sounds pretty cool to me. I would focus this specifically on the change management and working with it. Any other products that I offer to individuals, online products, I would have a different brand and a different logo for that. Change by Gumption would be the consulting service I offer, where I'm an ambassador, a change ambassador, and hopefully ideally partnered with a single change organization down the road. How do I get there? Not 100% sure, but I think I start out with a project or two and prove success, and then from there ultimately partner up with one organization that actually I'd be working for their clients. I wouldn't actually have to go out, and they'd be bringing me in as the change expert or change consultant to work with them on delivering a message of change by Gumption.